Hello and welcome back to another video on the MCFC Lads YouTube channel. In this one we're going to be predicting the Premier League table from the top all the way down to the bottom, and we will be starting with the bottom, so let's get straight into it. In 20th place I'm going with AFC Bournemouth. I feel the new managerial appointment isn't amazing. To sack Gary O'Neill was stupid. I think he did so well. After Scott Parker was sacked at the start of last season, everybody said Bournemouth were going straight down, and to be fair, they managed to stay up 15th. He really did well with a pretty poor Bournemouth squad and kept them up quite comfortably. So for me, I think Bournemouth are going to finish 20th this season. In 19th, I'm going to go with Sheffield United. I have watched them a decent amount. Last season, Tommy Doyle, James Mcfc, both on loan from Manchester City. They did really well. They are now left without those two key players, and also Iliman Ndiaye leaves to Marseille, and Sander Berge joins Burnley for £15 million. So I feel they have not done enough to bring in some replacements. They've lost 4 key players, and yeah, I think they're gone. I think they're going to go down. The final relegation space, 18th. Hotly contested for me. There's a few names I was thinking of here, but for me, it's going to be Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wolves, for me, are kind of dropping slowly. They were in Europe a few seasons ago. I'm not saying Wolves should be expecting to get in Europe every season, but for me, since Nuno left, they've been slowly dropping, and I feel now is going to be the year they leave. They have just appointed the former Bournemouth manager. They've also lost Ruben Neves, a very key player, and for me, I think they're going to go down. 17th, narrowly avoiding relegation. 17th, I'm going with Luton Town. So many people are saying that these are favourites to go down, and I can see why. They're a small club, newly promoted, squad is questionable, but for me, these guys have had amazing seasons in the Championship. The last 2 seasons, they've come up through the playoffs, and they're not going to go down without a fight. Kenilworth Road is going to be a very difficult place to go, in my opinion. I think they're going to have some very good home form, and I think their away form will be poor, do not get me wrong, but they are going to stay up. 16th, I'm going with Brentford. I feel Thomas Frank is a good manager, but they're losing Ivan Toney, of course, with his ban all the way up into the second half of the season. And David Raya, who carried them through games, in my opinion, a great goalkeeper, losing him to Arsenal, that is going to be bad for them. And I feel they're just about going to avoid relegation. 15th, Everton. I think they're going to have a pretty poor season again, but they will stay up. Sean Dyche, I'm confident in him as a manager, and I think Everton are going to stay up. They're going to finish 15th. 14th, a slight improvement from last season, Nottingham Forest. Again, Steve Cooper, he knows what he's doing at Forest. They had a great record at the City Ground towards the end of the season. Forest, I personally don't like them, but I do think they will stay up. They're going to finish 14th. 13th is Fulham. Now, they've lost a couple of good players as well, but I don't think they're going to go down. I think they're a pretty good team. They've got a good setup there, and they've got a very good manager. So for me, I definitely think Fulham are going to stay up quite comfortably, but they're not quite going to get to the heights they were at last season, and they're going to finish 13th. In 12th is Crystal Palace. Now, last season, I thought they were going to go down, and for a long period of time, they were slowly dropping until Roy Hodgson, almost like the godfather of this club, came in and won a serious number of games, a serious number of points towards the end of the season. He kind of carried them, in my opinion, and I think he's a great manager, even at his age. So I think they're going to finish 12th, Crystal Palace. The final spot in the bottom half for me goes to Burnley. They're going to just about miss out on the top half, but Vincent Kompany, great football he played in the Championship last season. They won the league by a long way, and I think he's a great manager. They've got some great players coming in as well. Sander Berge, James Trafford, great signings. So for me, Burnley are going to finish 11th. That would be a great season for a newly promoted side. 10th for me, West Ham United. Now, of course, last season they had an incredible season in the end. Stayed up. There was a threat of them going down, of course, for a period of time. They obviously avoided that. Some good performances towards the end of the season. And, of course, the UEFA Europa Conference League is now in their hands. David Moyes did so well to win that. I think they have a great squad, a great fan base. And, of course, they've lost Declan Rice to Arsenal. But that was always going to happen with a player of his quality. I think he's a good signing for Arsenal. A huge price tag on him. And, of course, a lot of pressure on him. But we'll get on to that. But for West Ham to get that money in, the likes of Harry Maguire coming in, James Ward-Prowse, I think they are great signings. And although they will have European football, I feel 10th is a decent finish for them next season. 9th for me is Brighton. Now, every season, these guys surprise. Last season, qualifying for the Europa League was a new height for them to reach. And I think, again, they have an incredible manager and an incredible squad. Who knows which of those players they're going to probably lose before the actual transfer window closes in just under a month. But I think they've got a great squad. I think they'll do reasonably well in Europe. And I think they'll finish 9th. There's going to be a slight drop-off with that European football being played. But I think 9th again would be a very, very good finish for Brighton. In 8th, the age-old question, where will Tottenham finish? Will they win a trophy? I still do not think they will win a trophy with Ange Postecoglou in charge, but I think they'll finish 8th. It's not the worst thing in the world, but if they can keep hold of Harry Kane, that is the main thing for their future. They need to keep him. He bags goals for fun. And I think if he stays at Tottenham, maybe they could finish a little bit higher than 8th. But given that we don't know whether he's staying, if he's going, I'm going to put them at 8th for now. I think that's not even the worst finish for them. Aston Villa, they were incredible last season. Steven Gerrard, of course, got sacked towards the start of the season. When Emery came in, he was so good, the football he got them playing, the results he was getting, and he of course led them to a 7th place finish last season. Conference League football now for them, and I think that's great for them. The fans will be loving that, and I think they'll do pretty well again next season, getting the same finish, 7th. I think they'll have good performances. They've made some great signings, and they are creeping up. But for me, 7th is about right for Villa. They'll have a similar league finish to last season, and that is just because of the European football and the amount of games they will have to play. So Aston Villa, 7th. 6th, another team who had a great season last season, Newcastle United. They're going to have a slight drop-off as well. Playing in the Champions League is going to be very difficult for them. Of course, we don't know who they've got in their group yet, but based off the pot they're in, I think they are going to get a pretty difficult group, and I think they could definitely struggle. They're not going to be experienced in that competition, and as a result, I think they're going to drop off a little bit in the Premier League. They made some good signings as well, but I don't think they're going to finish in the top 4. 6th for Newcastle. In 5th place, just missing out on the Champions League spots, for me is Manchester United. Now, with Erik ten Hag coming in, we did see some more consistency in United performances, but they did get battered by some of the bigger clubs. City beating them 6-3, Liverpool 7-0, and I think we will see a couple of those results again next season, hopefully as a City fan anyway, but I just do not think they are good enough to get anywhere near the league title and even get in the top 4. So for me, Manchester United finish 5th, and I'm sure they will get nowhere near the title. But I'm sure they'll win the first game or two, and everyone will think they're going to win the quad. In 4th, I'm going to go with Chelsea. Now, I don't think they're going to be particularly consistent under Pochettino in his first season, but they've sold a lot of players. The squad is getting thinner, and I think that's exactly what Chelsea needed. Hopefully for them, they are going to be a lot better this season. I do actually feel they can sneak into the top 4. So surprising for a lot of people, but I think Chelsea, with no European football to distract them, I think they're going to finish 4th this season. Now into the top 3, the title challengers. Who's going to get close to the title? And I don't think Arsenal are. Now, people might put them in a title race because, of course, they did push City a decent way last season, but they made a few signings. They've spent one hell of a lot of money, and they are now in the Champions League, which I feel they are going to struggle in as well. So I think they're going to finish 3rd. I don't think they're going to get near the title, and I think they're going to drop off from last season in the league. 2nd place now, Liverpool Football Club. Now, for me, Liverpool are always a team who I think can push for the title. Last season, of course, they were really poor, but towards the end of the season, they put up a pretty good run of form. They've made a couple of good signings as well. Alexis McAllister, I really like him as a player, and I think Liverpool are going to push City a decent way next season. I think they've really got something about them. Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool have always got a title push in them, in my opinion. As I said, they've had a couple inconsistent seasons, but I think they will bounce back. No Champions League football again for them this season, Europa League, but I think they will finish 2nd in the Premier League. And of course, that leaves the champions, the 3-time Premier League winners in a row. The treble winners, Manchester City, are going to go on and win a 4th Premier League title in a row. They would be the first English team ever to do that, and I think we are capable. Some good signings now, after, of course, a lot of outgoings. And I think Pep Guardiola, I have full trust in that man. At whatever position we find ourselves in the season, we were 8 points behind Arsenal at one point. People were writing us off, and we went on and won the treble. So I think City are so capable of winning the Premier League title next season. I have no doubt we will do it. In terms of FPL, we had 5,000 people in our league last year, and you can join our league with the code on screen. Let's see you in there. And now just another couple little things. The top scorer for me is going to be Erling Haaland yet again. I think he's going to get 30 plus goals. He might not quite get to the 36 he got last season, but I think he'll get 30 again. And I think he is an incredible goal scorer. I'm really disappointed he's unlikely to get the Ballon d'Or. But for me, Erling Haaland is the Golden Boot winner. The most assists goes to Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's going to be popping off. He's going to get the most assists, probably a lot of them, to Erling Haaland. and that is your Playmaker Award. Biggest flop, I'm thinking Rasmus Højlund. Everyone is hyping this guy up. He's missing the first period of the season due to injury, and I don't see him getting more than about 10 goals, to be honest. And the best transfer, I'll finish it off with, I think is going to be Mateo Kovacic. 25 million from Chelsea. What a player. I think he's going to have a storming season. So that wraps up our Premier League predictions. 20th place all the way up to first. Make sure you leave your comments with your thoughts. Where have I gone wrong here? Where do you think some of these other teams are going to finish? And of course, make sure you leave a like if you did enjoy, subscribe, and I'm sure we'll revisit these at some point and see how I did. Nice one.